Hi there, welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. How are you today, my friend? Come right on in. So good to be with you. What a wonderful privilege to get to connect this way. And thank you for everything you do for us, for your support, and also just for your kind emails and notes and things. It really means a lot. We appreciate it. On this program we have regular guests like Carol Kent and Dr. Clark. And I'm considering the guest today a semi-regular. Her name is Katharine Zoller. She's from Oklahoma, and I'm going to have her give her testimony. I have her give it every time. It's very unusual, and if you've ever doubted the power of God to turn somebody around, you won't after you hear her testimony. But also, God raised her up to me, it's got to be so difficult. Only God could gift you to do this. So I'm holding all the books she's written for children, and they're called the Rhyme and Reason series. And as you can see, they are beautiful. The colors, the illustrations, and guess what? They're in rhyme. All these books of the Bible are in rhyme. And any children that I have taken care of, they like a book, they want you to read it over and over and over. Well, you read to them one in rhyme, they'll have that thing memorized in no time. So here we go. Gonna list them. Here's Genesis, Leviticus. I don't have these in order, by the way. Exodus, Matthew. I'm going too fast, probably. Daniel. Now in the New Testament, the Acts. Back in the Old Testament, here's Esther, Revelation. When she did Leviticus and Revelation, I thought, girl, what's wrong with you? That's got to be hard. But here's Revelation. We already showed you Leviticus. Here's Hebrews. And the brand new, we're debuting this thing today, Jonah. That's got to be so great. One of the best stories in the Bible. And I'm so happy to have the author here with us. And I'm going to join Stephanie to do a recipe that she has already decided she doesn't like. So we're going to test her. I think it's possible to turn her around. We're going to make a turmeric ginger chicken soup. So we'll see if she likes it. Before I join her, though, I want to let you know that we're going to offer this newest book here today, Jonah. And you saw the quality. I told you they all rhyme. I mean, it's such an exceptional book for only $24, and that includes your shipping and handling, friends. So you can call 1-800-229-0059 or write to me at Homekeepers Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, and we'll get it out to you. And now I'm here with Stephanie, and you can tell she's just exactly what she is, but this girl has the excitement for Christmas like a 3-year-old.
I have the maturity level of a 3-year-old
yes.
most days, too.
Well, when it comes to the holidays, yes. And so outside of her office, she keeps track of how many days till Christmas. When did you put that up? It was 90 days at least, or maybe more.
It was more. I was in the hundreds.
Yeah. And so
it didn't make everyone happy.
As we make this program, we want to show you how close we are to Christmas.
Hello, picture. Hello.
All right, where is it, guys?
It's up there.
Okay. 36 days. There it is.
There it is. And then she changes it every single day.
Every day. And then people walk by and they go, oh, gosh.
Yeah. We're not ready. Now she is.
It's coming. Yeah. Whether I put the countdown up there or not, it's coming. So at least you know.
It is
It's
helpful.
a public service announcement for all of my friends and coworkers. That's all.
It's helpful to all of us, and really, she is so organized, and you got your whole family coming for Thanksgiving.
Right? I'm super excited. Now, the only reason I'm not decorated at home for Christmas right now is because I have everyone coming, and I can't fit all my decorations and all my family in my house.
And you chose your family. That's
I
so
chose
wonderful.
my family. Nice.
Okay, now you've already decided you don't like this.
I will try it because sometimes I'm surprised. I've been surprised on the show. I found out I like Brussels sprouts, so I'm open to try it, but
Well, this is a Martha Stewart recipe.
Well. I don't know what to tell
A
you.
lot of times Martha has things on a recipe you've never heard of, like this one has
it's turmeric.
microgreens.
Microgreens.
I had to look it up. It does exist.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I have oil heated up. I have a thinly sliced clove of garlic.
One clovey.
I have turmeric, which is only a quarter of a teaspoon. Which, get that jar. Get that jar.
Yeah, that cost
She says, I got the turmeric, and I thought she bought soup because I was like, I thought
That's
it was
all turmeric.
That's a big old. That's how big it came in, and all we needed was a quarter of a teaspoon. And then I have fresh ginger, which smells lovely. Ooh, hey.
Well, the turmeric is supposed to be so healthy. So I thought
I had
it
my
might
fire on a little
at least
too hot.
have a half a cup in it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it, but it makes a lovely.
Oh, that smells good.
It makes a lovely color, is what I'm told. Okay, so I just got that sautéed a little bit.
And I'm just coating up a little bit of green onion for
beauty.
the decor.
Yes, and to do something. So I'm putting 6 cups of broth.
And while you're
Chicken
doing that,
broth.
I'll get a soup bowl out because Susan's not here today and she does all this for us. We are so spoiled. And I'm anxious for you to taste it.
And then we're also putting chicken and angel hair pasta in it. I don't know, Martha. I don't know, Martha. I'm just not sure.
I'll tell you though, when
There
I
you go.
started this program, and I don't know her, but you know Rosa, who comes on here once in a while, she's been on her show.
She's been on Martha Stewart's show?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's well, Rosa's very artistic.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and put the chicken in.
She's a very, very nice lady and does beautiful things. But quite honestly, she was, here's a little history for you. She was an inspiration to me to start this show because we've been on the air about 20 years. And because we were coming out of the women's movement, which they hated their home and their husbands and everybody else, kind of, it's an overkill. And then Martha Stewart comes on the scene and says, lovely home, let's cook, you know.
Yeah.
And she came when we needed her.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes. I remember the first episode I saw of hers, it was like about taking care of your home and having a calendar and being, you know, so I mean,
do a lot of that,
yeah,
too.
I do. I'm going to go ahead and,
Throw this in.
I'm quite sure I'm right about this recipe. I'm just going to say right now.
Well, what about the lemon juice?
That comes at the very end,
Okay.
along with your beautifully sliced onions that you're still slicing,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So give me just a second. I got this on high. We just need the noodles to cook for 1 second.
They're very, very skinny noodles, so
Yes,
cook
they
real
came
fast.
out of a gift box that
Yes.
Arthelene got at home.
Yeah, somebody gave me. They're real fancy.
They're fancy, yes. So
Pasta.
Martha Stewart
So
recipe, we should have fancy pasta, right? No elbows for this recipe. No. Okay, I'm gonna let you here. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and
We're really rushing.
I'm
this,
rushing, and I.
But let's give it another minute.
Okay.
Now, she's about ready to leave me for 10 days for Thanksgiving and all the relatives.
It's time.
Did you-
folks. It's time.
You organized all your meals ahead of time, and
For the most part, yes. I have meals planned. I have Thanksgiving. I have everything bought already, purchased, ready to go, except for like the potatoes, which I'll get and the pies, which I'll get at the last minute. Everything else is ready. I have some breakfasts ready. I have some, different meals ready for while they're here. So yes, I try to be prepared so that I can enjoy my company.
and I don't know, we get new viewers all the time, but she's very good at, like on Saturday, cooking a whole bunch of stuff and freezing the meat and things that you have it all day, all for the week, and then when you come home, you just pull
Yeah,
it
because
out.
I work. So by the time I get off of work, I want to have as much done as I possibly can. And this is the first time, by the way, in 24 years that my whole family's going to be together.
I think that's wonderful.
So excited. Okay, here we go. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I got you a spoon here.
Oh, good.
We miss Susan.
I still don't I don't. Here, put
Okay,
your
I'll put a
onions
few
in.
of those
Go ahead. Okay. Oops, sorry. See? Go ahead. You try. Tell me what you think.
Oh, I like it.
Okay,
It's
so that
very-
means I'm not going to.
It's very different. It's very different.
It's not bad.
Really, the ginger and everything is
Okay, I
pretty
would do more pasta. That's all. More pasta. Yep.
Yep, okay. All right, if you want this, information's coming up on your screen, and we'll get it to you. Just choose the way you want to order it, and it doesn't cost anything. So while you're watching this, I'm going to join Katharine Zoller, and we're going to talk about this incredible ministry she has. So stay with us.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, you may receive it by contacting us through social media as listed on the screen. When requesting a copy through the mail, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Thank you, and please know we always appreciate hearing from our viewers.
Okay, it's a privilege to welcome Katharine Zoller back. Let's see, how many books do we
10.
have? 10.
We
So
got
you've
10
been here
now.
at least 10 times because.
Well, I think I've been here 8.
Uh-huh.
I came when the third one came out.
On the third
Yeah,
one, okay. And there's nothing at all like these.
No, they're
I wish you
completely
could just
unique to
hold
the
one in
market.
your hand and go through it. The quality is just the finest. There's no question. But before we get into this, I really like.
You like my story.
I do because it just shows how God's chasing you.
Right. As he does all of us. I mean, God's pursuing all of us all the time.
And you were such a rebellious kind of kid that your parents, what's the word they use?
Well, they severed their parental rights. They made me a ward of the state of Oklahoma and had me put in a home for juvenile delinquents. I was angry, and I believed a lie, and the lie that I believed was that it wasn't okay to be me. And because it wasn't okay to be me, there must be something wrong with me. My parents took me to a psychiatrist when I was 9. And I remember thinking, even at 9 years old, psychiatrists are for crazy people. So there must be something wrong with me. And I was highly, highly hyperactive. I had ADHD way before they called it that. I think it was just called Katharine Needs a Spanking.
Yeah, they call him a brat. But also, you got into some crime.
Got into some drugs. I was a thief. I stole things, doing all kinds of, I was 14, 15 years old, doing every drug I could get my hands on, running away from home, not going to school. I was truant. When I left the 9th grade, Arthelene, I had 5 Fs and a D. I have no idea how I got the D, okay? I just was never in school. I hated it, and 10th grade started the same way, and at that point, that summer, is when my parents had me put in the home for juvenile delinquents.
And God can take somebody like that to write books.
Yeah, right. What I tell people is like God says, he takes the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
Now, what was the situation when were you hitchhiking?
Yeah. So I was at the Sunbeam home, the ironically named Sunbeam home, and I ran away all the time. And so I had run away. I was hitchhiking towards Florida. I had this great idea that I was going to somehow pick fruit with migrant workers or something, my drug-addled state.
By yourself?
By myself. So I'm hitchhiking.
Did you ever have friends?
Yeah, I had lots of friends, but they were all juvenile delinquents like me. And so, when I ran away this time, I was by myself. I got picked up in Monroe, Louisiana, just outside of Monroe, by a preacher. And he asked me if I was a Christian, and I said yes.
So you're hitchhiking, and this nice pastor
stops, picks me up, asks me if I'm hungry. I told him I was. He took me to a Dairy Queen, and back then they had bench seats. You remember bench seats? And while I was eating my hamburger, he opened up his Bible and started preaching the gospel to me, reading me the scriptures. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. There is none righteous, no, not one. Even John 3:16, the most famous verse in the Bible, that God so loved the world that he gave Jesus, his only son, that whosoever would believe. And I'm telling you, and I was raised in church, Arthelene. I heard all the Bible stories, but I never heard the gospel. And this man preached the gospel or spoke the gospel to me, and it just stirred something in my spirit.
Yeah, that's scary.
I know it is scary. It's very scary. And now what I'm hearing as I go around the country selling these books is that they're not teaching the Bible stories in churches anymore. So kids aren't
I think a
getting.
lot of churches do not have Sunday school.
They don't have Sunday school much at all anymore. They have these big, kid events, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but we're losing the heritage and the foundation for understanding the Bible. And I think brings the value to these books, is kids are hearing the stories, like you said in the intro. They're hearing it in rhyme. Rhyme's a powerful memory tool, and they're getting what they're, hopefully they're getting it at church too, but if they're not, then this can be a wonderful resource.
So did this pastor lead you in the sinner's prayer?
No, he didn't. He actually took me back up to the highway and let me out, and I stuck my thumb out. I prayed my very first prayer where I wasn't just absolutely furious with God, And I said, God, if you're like that man says you are, I just hope I get caught tonight. Well, I was walking down the sidewalk in Monroe, Louisiana, and I got surrounded, no joke, by 5 police cars. I mean, I'm 15 years old.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea. But they arrested me for vagrancy and drug possession and put me in a detention center for juveniles. And I was completely combative and non-cooperative. I wouldn't tell them my name, nothing. And they wouldn't let me out of my cell because I wouldn't cooperate. And there was nothing in there except a bed, a sink and a toilet, and a small table that had a Bible on it. So I started trying to read the Bible, trying to find the verses that the man had shared with me earlier in the week. Of course, I didn't know anything about the Bible. I couldn't find them. But here's what we do know, Arthelene. The Bible is the living, breathing Word of God. And it wouldn't have mattered if I was reading in Leviticus, right?
Right.
It's powerful. And I got down on that cold tile floor in that cell, and I just cried out to God and asked Him to come into my life and to transform me and take this mess that I'd made in 15 short years and to turn it around. And boy, God showed up.
And you were, at one point, you were supposed to serve several years.
Yes, actually, one of the things that I was arrested for was grand theft auto.
That's a big one.
That was a big one. We had 8 counts of grand theft auto. I had truancy charges, drug charges. I had an arson charge because I'd started a fire in a jail cell. I mean, it's a long story, and I do tell it as I go around the country speaking.
How do you start a fire?
Well, with your cigarettes and the trash in the cell.
Okay.
It was cold in there.
I didn't know you
could
could have any flammable thing in there.
So anyway, the judge gave us an 8-year prison sentence pending a 6-month probation. So I had 6 months. I couldn't backtalk a house parent, cut a class, get high, nothing. And I knew I couldn't do it. But I'm a brand new baby Christian now. I'm back at the Sunbeam home. And I had an aunt and uncle from Wilmington, Delaware, come and get me and take me to live with them. And 6 months later, all the charges against me were dropped. And here's another beautiful thing about that story, is because I wasn't driving. I was just 15, and I wanted to go to church. So my aunt started coming to church with me. Well, she became a believer. She was born again. And then the whole family ended up coming to Christ as a result of God, doing something in me and then transplanting me to live with them.
Every time I hear your story, it's new. It's brand new. There's so many twists and turns that cannot be explained.
Right.
It just can't be. Now, do you know that preacher's name?
I don't know anything about him. All I can picture is his dark hair and the brown Maverick that he drove. That's it.
Yeah. And God has, then He led you, into some maturity.
Right. I went to Youth with a Mission for 3 years, and I did missionary work. I loved it. I wanted to be a missionary, marry a missionary, have little missionary babies. That was my goal.
Did you know Lauren Cunningham?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know him personally, but he would speak.
Yeah, I went to school with him.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Okay. Old times.
So much to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. What was the first book?
The first book was Genesis. So I had done a 9-month Bible study fellowship, and we'd been studying the book of Genesis, and they have on the last day of class what they call share day, and anybody that wants to can get up and tell what they got out of the study. And I knew I was going to want to say something because I'm a speaker, and if there was a microphone, I was going to be in front of it. So I was laying in bed trying to think of what to say to these women the next day, and these couplets started coming to mind. This is the one true story of how everything began. Because of love, our God began to formulate a plan. I thought, well, that's kind of clever. So I got up and wrote it down and went back to bed, and they kept coming, and I kept getting up and writing them down. And finally I thought, I need to stay up till these quit coming to me. Well, the sun came up that morning. I put the whole book to rhyme. I rush off to class. I read it to this very stoic group of women not given to spontaneous bursts of applause. And they burst into applause. And they were mobbing me afterwards with, this was before internet, so dollar bills with slips of paper in their addresses saying, make a copy and send that to me.
Just of the poem.
Right, of the poem. And then I had one woman say, Katharine, have you ever thought about making that into a children's book? I said, I hadn't thought of any of this till 3 o'clock this morning. So, but that got the whole thing started. And I joined a writers group, a Christian writers group, and finally ended up with an agent and who led me to a publisher. So Genesis came out first.
And now we got these.
Yeah, now we've got 10.
Now, if you didn't hear the first part of the program, we've got the newest one. This is hot off the press. This is Jonah. I'm anxious to read this because it's such a great story.
Well, and it's
Bible.
only 4 chapters long in the Bible,
Well,
so it was a challenge to make it fit into a 48-page book. But you know how well David's artwork is, so.
But let me remind you that we have all of these books here, and you can order. They're $24 each. That includes the shipping and handling. And let me again tell you the ones we have, and that's Jonah, Hebrews, Revelation, I hope you're writing these down, Esther, Acts, Daniel, Matthew, Exodus, Leviticus, and Genesis. So that's quite a body of work, girl.
Well, and what I started to do, after the first two came out, Genesis and Matthew, I was just praying one morning, trying to decide what I wanted to write next, and it was just a total God thing. I started thinking about the first 5 books in the Bible called the Pentateuch, and I thought, oh, each one of those has a New Testament companion. Genesis and Matthew are books of beginnings. Exodus and Acts are books of going out. Leviticus and Hebrews are both about the priesthood. So I paired them that way. I wrote them. And then I did Revelation because there are no children's books on Revelation, and there should be, so now there is. And I paired it with Daniel because they're the prophecy books. And then my friends on Facebook begged me to do Esther. And I had a little boy at a homeschool convention in Fort Worth come up to me and ask me if I would write Jonah. So his name's Joseph. I actually dedicated the book to Joseph. Yeah.
Yes, and the children are subtly really getting some good theology.
Well, I didn't dumb anything down.
Yeah, the way you've coupled these and paired them.
Right.
Very good with their companion Old Testament,
Right.
New Testament.
Right.
Do you have a favorite?
You know, everybody asks me that, and here's what I say.
Newest one.
My favorite is always the one I just finished because it's a long, arduous process to write and publish a book. So once I finally got one in my hands, it becomes my new favorite.
Yes. Now, we've got a website up on the screen. You get them all through that. That's Katharine's website. Also, Amazon.
I wouldn't recommend Amazon.
Okay.
The 2 that are on there, well, some of them, just no, not Amazon.
Okay.
So-
Okay. So the best place would be
through the
here
web-
or,
yeah.
or through
Yep.
through your website.
Yep.
And what a great gift if you gave this whole library to a grandchild. I've got some great grandchildren who love to read,
Right.
and I'd like to, gift the whole thing. But as I said at the top of the show, I remember when my oldest grandson, I was reading him a book and I skipped a page and he corrected me because he had the whole book memorized.
Right.
Now think of those little brains, and we know it's true. The more often you read the book to them, they love it, they want to hear it again. If it's rhymed, oh my goodness, that's got to be a giant step up.
Well, kids love Dr. Seuss. Why? Because it's all rhyming. And that's what I say. This is like Dr. Seuss meets the Bible. And like I said earlier, rhyme is a wonderful memory tool. You probably remember every nursery rhyme you ever learned because it stays with you. It stays with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. What kind of feedback have you gotten from these?
Very positive. I rarely ever hear anything negative about it. And that's, I just attribute that to the Holy Spirit because I obviously pray about which book to write and as I'm writing it. But I do a lot of homeschool conventions, and of course I speak. I'm a speaker, so when I go to a church or a women's group or something and speak, I always have the books for sale there. And invariably, people are impressed with, like, the fact that I don't leave anything out. I tell the story of Cain and Abel that you find in very few children's Bibles, and Sodom and Gomorrah that you'll find in no children's Bible. And my whole premise is, God put it in there, and so we shouldn't take it out. And so I think it's important that parents and grandparents are having conversations about some of the harder things in the Bible with their kids so that God makes sense. God's a God of love, and there's things that can seem confusing, so I want to clear up that confusion. That
Have you ever gotten really hung up on trying to make something rhyme?
Oh yeah, I do. So sometimes I'll have to, flip the sentence and turn it around so I can get a word that rhymes. This is a funny story. When I was writing Genesis, don't ask me why, but for some reason I was determined to use the word kumquat. I just thought that was such a funny word. I wanted to use kumquat. So
a 3-year-old wouldn't get it.
So I rhymed it with Lot, and so that's right there in the creation. Right there in Genesis in the creation story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me remind you too that Katharine is a speaker, and you've already heard really just a thumbnail sketch of her testimony, but also you lost a child.
Yeah, my oldest son Jordan had a
And,
heart-lung transplant when he was 17.
It has to be the greatest sorrow
Sure.
that you could ever go through.
Of course, yeah.
So Maybe you should rhyme your life story.
There you go.
somehow.
Well, but the whole point when I speak, because I have suffered a lot of loss, everybody has. We live in a fallen, broken world. My story is unique. Your story is unique. You were sharing with me before we started taping your tragedy. We've all got them. And so I want people to be filled with hope. It's a story of how God redeems everything. That's the overarching theme of my life. He redeemed my immortal soul. He's redeeming my life. One of these days, He's going to redeem the entire universe. So we need to have hope.
A lot of things you've gone through, maybe you should be in a psych ward or, no kidding. I mean, your whole childhood and
Right.
all. And it's what a miracle that God can redeem that.
And so that's another thing that your viewers need to know. If they have a problem child, a problem grandchild, a problem adult child, don't give up. Don't stop praying.
Absolutely.
My grandparents prayed me into the kingdom. I firmly believe that. I don't think anybody comes into the kingdom unless somebody's prayed for them. And even if you've been praying 10, 15, 20 years, you know, George
Don't quit.
Mueller prayed for a friend for 60 years before that man finally came to Christ. So we need to persevere, we need to walk in faith, and we need to allow God the opportunity to show up and show off, because that's what He loves to do.
Yes, and boy, grandmothers out there, that's your mandate. I pray for every single morning, pray for every one of them. I got 9 great-grandchildren.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
I've told the audience many times, I don't need a checklist. I can pray for them, you know, without that. But let me remind you again, the newest book, a lot of you are familiar with these because we have Katharine on every time she writes a new one, is Jonah. I'm going to read this as soon as I get upstairs to my
All right.
office. And you can get them through her website, or you can write to us, or call 1-800-229-0059, and we'll get them out to you. I really wanted to have her on a little bit earlier before Christmas, but I don't know of a better Christmas gift you
Yeah.
could give a child than the Scripture.
Something that has eternal value. You know, the toys are going to break or they're going to outgrow them. These, I hope that, you know, when they grow up, they'll read them to their children and their grandchildren. These are heirloom books.
Yeah, I think this is a God thing because it's a very sturdy book. Could have to be pretty strong to really tear it up. And you could wipe the pages off.
Right.
If they
Well,
slobber on
I
them.
intentionally, I wanted to produce the highest quality book that I possibly
You
could
have.
for that reason. Thank you. I appreciate
You
that.
really
Because I
have.
wanted them to be handed down from generation to generation.
Well, there's no doubt it's a God thing. There's no doubt that somebody who got 4 F's and a D
Can actually write a
it would
complete
take God
sentence.
to do this. Oh, we do serve a wonderful God, a miracle-working God. and
Amen.
You're seeing a miracle right here. Well, this has been great, and I hope that you will join us on the next Homekeepers program when we try to bring to you things that are going to make your home better, make your life better, all through Jesus Christ. And you know, He really needs to be part of every part of your home, every single part of your home. Dedicate it to Him. Dedicate to Him daily and thank Him for it. I thank God for my home every morning, every morning. I praise Him for His provisions. Do the same. It'll make your day go better. Join me next time. Please, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.